Hi guys, this is MMA here bringing another fight review. This one from the main event, UFC Fuel TV on 8 card last night between Wanderlei Silva and Brian Stann. Absolutely stacked card with a huge main event for a Fuel TV event. And this is one of the best fights I've seen. I would have to give it, so far in 2013, I know we're only just into March, got to be fight of the year so far. I thought this was absolutely incredible. Fight of the night, honest, no doubt. It was great to see the event sort of built up in intensity. Each fight in the main card was slightly better than the next one, which was nice to see, culminating in this just awesome fight. The guys came out banging early on. They like sort of eyed each other up first round a little bit, and then just as soon as one guy threw a punch, it was like wild hooks from both guys. This is just Wanderlei Silva's world, Wanderlei Silva's style. I thought, Brian Stann, what are you doing? You should be me, the more technical guy. They were just swinging left hook, right hook, left hook, right hook. It's interesting, Stan said at the beginning he's going to return to 185. If he'd have won this fight, he'd have returned to 185. Somewhere probably looking in title picture. Not anymore. Not after that knockout against a guy who everyone thought should retire. Stan entered this fight a big favourite. I predicted him to win. Got that wrong, as I did quite a few fights on the card tonight. There were quite a few upsets. This is a big upset, I think. It was great to see Wanderlei coming out to the Pride music in Japan. I'd like to think this was his last fight. He says it's not going to be. I think that would be a good way to end the career. I don't think he's got any realistic chance of getting up for a title shot again. He's been around the game such a long time. But yeah, it was classical Wanderlei Silva. Huge amounts of violence. The guys fought each other. Stan dropped Wanderlei twice in the first round, and we all thought, he lands one more big one, and this is all she wrote. This is lights out. But then they exchange again. I'm thinking, Wanderlei's going to go down, it's all over. And then Wanderlei drops Brian Stann. The first one, the huge left hook, and Brian Stann seemed to be more hurt from that drop down than the other two. Stann instigated a takedown, thought, oh shit, I've got to recover. But I still kind of gave the first round to Brian Stann, I think. I think he still got the first round. They came out the second round. It's a lot more composed. Stan's landing some nice leg kicks. Sort of definitely winning the round with being the more technical fighter. And then they get in a bit more of a brawl, and then it goes back to being technical. Brian Stann goes to throw a big right hand. As he's coming in, Wanderlei Silva catches him with that typical sort of half hook, half straight right, half overhand right, weird sort of punch he throws. You could see the snap on the chin, lands it perfectly. Brian Stann follows up with a left hook that downs him, and then jumps on him, lands 2 or 3 big shots in the ground and pound. And that's it. Good night. Lights out for Brian Stann. Wow, when they were just brawling, I mean, there must have been 6, 7, 8 punches thrown a second between the two of them when they were right in the mix, just going absolutely mad. It was incredible. Big right hand. Didn't realise Silva still had that power, which is interesting. Brian Stann by no means has got a weak chin, and he dropped him, and he really dropped him in style. Yeah, great moment for Wanderlei Silva in Japan, where, I mean, he was the undefeated Pride champion for 5 years, I think. Won Pride Grand Prix back in Japan, back in where he became famous, became one of the legends of the sport. I said Brian Stann went into this fight with a lot of pressure as a favourite. He's coming off a couple of losses in his last few fights. He's lost his last 3 fights to Michael Bisping and Chael Sonnen. To be fair, they are very top level guys in the middleweight division. Both guys small for light heavyweight. Brian Stann said he liked the fact that he didn't have to cut the weight. I was very surprised that he finished the fight. I was of the opinion this was going to be Wanderlei's last fight. He was probably going to lose, and then he was going to retire. I feel like before this fight, I was thinking he probably should retire. He's got losses to Rich Franklin, Kung Lee, but his last 3 fights have all been fight of the night. I don't want him to retire in terms of I love to see his fights. As a fan, it's amazing to see his fights. They're such good value. They're so entertaining. But there comes a time where you think, does my entertainment become before the guy's health? Of course not. So you think maybe, I mean, you can see by his face, he's had so many fights. He's got so much scar tissue going on around his eyebrows. That's from all his fights back in the early days where he did bare knuckle fights before Pride. I feel like the guy doesn't have anything more to prove. He's beaten the likes of Rampage, Brian Stann, Pride champion. He's got nothing to prove at all in his fights. We'll have to wait and see what he does. In a way, I hope he retires. In a way, I don't. I don't know where he'd fight, who he would fight. If he stayed at 205, after beating Brian Stann, he could argue maybe even a top 10 guy, one of the lower ranked guys in the top 10, maybe sort of 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th seed, something like that if he really wants it. I'm not sure he's at that level. But then again, I thought that before this fight. I thought he's not at that level, and it turned out that he was. Huge knockout. Great to see. Great main event. He wins fight of the night and knockout of the night bonus, so earns himself some money as well, which is great to see. It was interesting to see in the pre-fight sort of primetime show, they sort of humanised Wanderlei Silva. He's known for that super violent style, nicknamed the Axe Murderer. Everyone who's true MMA fans, whenever you see Wanderlei Silva just before a fight doing the wrist roll with his two wrists, you just think, oh, you get this sort of shivers down your spine. You think, here it comes. But yeah, they sort of humanised him, showed his family, which is nice to see. We'll have to see where he goes on from here. They almost seemed like he was gearing up for retirement. I got that from the show, but he didn't say in the post-fight preferences they would, which surprised me. But there we go. Where Brian Stann goes, obviously going to go back to 185. If he'd have won this fight, he could have probably argued a fight against one of the top sort of 10 guys, maybe even a top 5 guy. Now he's definitely low off down the division. 3 losses out of his last 4 fights. He was quite honest before this fight, saying he needs to win this to stay relevant. Unfortunately, he didn't. For him, I love Brian Stann, the All-American guy. Great fighter, great man. He was so emotional at the end of the fight, you could see, for the loss. But respectful to the end, which is great to see out of the fighters. Yeah, I think if he's going to get anywhere near a title shot, he's got to put on now a win of maybe 3 or 4 or 5 big fights. Unfortunately, I'm not sure he's quite at the level that he's been fighting at, which is a shame. You see some guys, they have the big name. I think the whole he's on Fox and things like that, so he's got a lot of publicity. A lot of people know he is, but he's not probably quite at the level that he's fighting at. But we'll have to wait and see. I thought he was fighting for this one. He didn't come through. But this has been MMA, bringing another fight review. Please remember to like and subscribe. Keep your eye out for more videos. They'll be on the way shortly, guys. Obviously, we'll be returning big time in 2 weeks for UFC 158. George St. Pierre versus Nick Diaz, and all the other welterweight fights. Absolutely can't wait. If you're a true MMA and UFC fan, you will be the same. We'll have to wait and see. Okay, I'll see you later, guys. Bye.